Good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Velazquez here with you, transparenttradesolutions.com on a Tuesday. This is 28th day, July. We have a Fed meeting, as everybody I'm sure is aware. Tomorrow, we have mega cap earnings. All of this, you put it together and expect some more volatility. Let's get right into the charts. Again, subscribe to the newsletter. Um, Put some commentary in the chat. Give me a thumbs up. So this weekend, I wrote about the demand zone in the NASDAQ. Uh, and what's happening is we're trying to rally away from that a little bit. There's two demand zones. There's the tested one, which is this here, and then there's the bigger one. And this is partly a function of the NVIDIA rally that we're seeing. I also wrote about that in the previous news. So again, uh, subscribe to that newsletter because I do, give you some ideas to look at. Uh, Obviously, the question is what's going to happen when Amazon and Meta and Apple report. Literally a tale of two markets. You've got the semiconductors getting hammered today, so you got the Nasdaq down, and the rest of the market really just kind of rotating between all the various sectors. In fact, the S&P, you notice here, right at that 74.15 level, which is last week's low, and more or less just kind of range trading. Not a lot going on in the S&P. Um, we'll see. Tomorrow. By the way, there's some rumblings about maybe the Fed throwing the market a curveball and raising rates. That would be really interesting. I think the reaction of the markets would be really, if that happens. Not sure if that's going to happen, but you never know with Warsh being kind of very cryptic and not really giving any guidance, all that kind of stuff. So that's something to that'd be interesting tomorrow. Probably going to be a real interesting meeting. Bitcoin. I go back to the same premise here. Unless you have a substantial rally, a pickup in the Nasdaq, I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. It does seem to be bottoming out to some degree. It can hang in here, but I don't think it's got any uh, upside until now. If we do get a pretty good rally in the Nasdaq, that will probably cause Bitcoin to break out, and you got 73K. So, watch this level down in here at 61.5. See if it continues to base out here. I think that's starting to look like it wants to break out, but it's going to need the it's definitely going to need the market, i.e., the NASDAQ, to rally because it's a risk on asset. Rates just kind of holding steady here. I did write about the TLT longer term. I did make the case that maybe down around in the low 80s could be a buying opportunity. Maybe long rates have peaked. This is a 20-year. And again, just to give you an idea here, if you go back, we haven't seen these lows since 20. We had a low just recently here in 23. And then prior to that, if we break that low, we probably will go down to 80 on the TLT. And that's been the peak in rates on the 30-year over the last 20 years now. So that's approaching some interesting levels. The dollar, still trying to break out. This will also be tied to that. And you can see it's kind of just been meander. It looks like it. If they do hike tomorrow, I think the dollar breaks out, and this will also be a headwind for the metals, including you can see uh, gold probably breaks down if, in fact, we get a breakout in gold, I would suspect. So keep an eye on that tomorrow. And then copper just chopping around. There's really, I'm still bullish on copper longer term. Oil, as everybody I'm sure also aware, it's come down and trying to hold that support at 77.50. The next level is going to be 74, and then a gap fill at 71. Um, and nat gas also just breaking down really looks like 250s in the cards. It looked like it was going to hold here and try to rally. That clearly failed. Couldn't get above three. And now we're probably looking at 2.5 as the next target on this guy down in here. We've been lower on this particular contract, which is, you remember, they roll over and all that. So, and there's contango and all that. So it still, remains to be seen on nat gas. Also, been talking about the I'm sorry, grains. Grains looks like let's see if this pullback holds, and then we have a much bigger breakout in soybeans, corn, and wheat, or it's just going to be basically a trade back to the top of the ranges. And again, you have to pull back the chart to see this here. These big charts are really what matters at the end of the day. You can see that kind of approaching either a breakout point here in corn above 5, or if this fails up here around 505, then we just basically can say we're kind of just range trading. So these are areas to look at as well. Below the surface, the stock market, it's the same story. You got a lot of stocks moving higher today, but the chip stocks are just getting, can't get a break here. SMH, interestingly, did hold a key level. Just want to throw this out there for some of you, you looking at some of these beaten down semiconductor stocks. SMH did try to bounce off that 100-day moving average, and if it breaks that, there's a chance. The 200-day, by the way, comes in around 450, about 100 points lower. So that's, it's still kind of up for debate whether this is still an ongoing uptrend or it's breaking and all that kind of stuff. So, I clearly got way ahead of, got parabolic, which again, I wrote about, last month. But, we're at a very interesting inflection point, I think, in a lot of markets going into the end of July. And I also talked about the seasonality. As you know, August and September are not good months for the stock market, but we'll see. So all in all, we got we'll be here Friday. We'll see how the Fed and all the mega caps change this whole dynamic, or we basically are going to be stuck doing the same thing. Wouldn't surprise me in either way. But as long as you look at your charts, don't overthink it, I think you'll be fine. All right, have a great day. Take care.